that here. Hold on.
We're live, buddy.
Well, there you go.
We got caught with our pants down, so to speak.
Well, nothing wrong with that. Just I put in my credentials down here. Here we go. Let's pop those up. All right. Apparently mine aren't going to work. Yeah.
All right. Got mine up. Yours up?
Yeah, I got there.
Lower third up. All right. We got a lower thirds in. People know who we are. We know who we are now.
That's beautiful. I love it.
Excellent.
I love it. Okay. I feel kind of short. I got to be short because my mic's down here.
Okay. So anyway, for anybody watching, this is Carlos Castellanos, co-creator of the Baldo comic strip, and I'm talking to my buddy Bob Ostrom, a children's book illustrator. And we're here representing DrawnBySuccess.com, where we help freelancers become more successful and get paid higher rates, and get more work, and all that good stuff. Right? Does that sound accurate, Bob?
That's a really good intro, Carlos.
Yeah.
I think we should probably just take that little clip and we'll play it each time we open up the show.
Right.
So
anyway,
Carlos,
yes, sir.
Where the hell?
So anyway, welcome back, guys. We've been gone. We're stepping all over each other. We got to get our timing right. We've been gone for about a month or so. So anyway, Bob, welcome back, sir.
Thank you, Carlos. Where the hell we been?
Well, that's appropriately titled show for today. Is where the hell have we been? Yeah. Well, we've just been kind of busy. I mean, we got. I had a couple of projects. I even actually brought you in on one of my projects a while back.
I know,
and we just wrapped it up not too long ago, and then I just came back from vacation.
Yeah. So, we had a little bit of fun with that, and I thought maybe today we'll just do like a little catch-up show, and kind of let people know what's coming up and where we're at and what we're doing and where we've been and that kind of stuff. So, yeah, you were on vacation. Where'd you go?
Went to Orlando, Universal Studios and Islands of Adventure. Went up there for a week.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
It was a nice, pleasant, relaxing vacation.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that'll do it for this episode. That's my old go-to gag. I just notice how I call that one back almost every show.
So what have you been doing, Bob?
I've been very busy. I'm doing a couple things right now. Well, I've been working on the teaching site. And I started taking a WordPress class. I was a little frustrated with my lack of expertise in WordPress. I wasn't able to do all the things that I wanted to do. So I said, well, I think it's time that I get out there and start to learn this a little bit better. So as it turns out, we have an excellent instructor over at the college that I teach at, Wake Tech Community College here in Raleigh. And she came really highly recommended. So I decided to go sit in on that class, and it's been great. The things that I've been learning are just erasing all the frustrations that I've had for the past couple of years trying to work with the WordPress platform. And boy, I got to tell you, I wish I had taken my own advice earlier. There's one thing that I tell all my students, which is, look, learn this stuff, and then,
hire somebody.
Yeah, if you don't know it, quit relying on those workarounds because you're wasting a lot of time and you're not getting done exactly what you want to get done. You're sort of compromising, and that kind of thing. And so there I was, taking my own advice, and I wish I would have done it years earlier. But I'm glad to be in there now, and I'm learning a lot of really great stuff. And it's just sort of smoothing out all the areas on the website that need to be smoothed out and filling in some of the blanks for me. So I'm really excited about that. And our class will wrap up next week, and then hopefully by that time I'm going to have a couple of new rebuilds going on and a whole bunch of stuff. So I've got the teaching side I've been working on just about ready to roll. We ran a trial class on that one. It came out great. Everybody who helped me out on there, thank you very much. Appreciate it. And I'm also building a new logo site. So I'm a busy guy, Carlos.
Excellent. Busy guy, it's funny. I mean, getting back to the point that you made that taking your own advice. It's funny because I think
yeah.
I'm notorious for that too. I'm banging my head against the wall, constantly trying to figure something out, wasting a lot of time, and then finally, after months or years in some cases, coming to the realization that, just hire somebody to help you, or that already has a handle on this and just take you by the hand like a child
Yeah.
and walk you through it, step by step, because it really is so much. But I don't know what it is about us that, and by us I mean you, me, and probably most of our listeners.
90% of the creative community.
That we work independently and we almost feel like we should be able to figure this out on our own.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
Because we're so used to working alone, we feel that we need to go at everything alone. And it's almost, to me, it's almost like a challenge. You're like, oh no, I'm not going to pay somebody. I'm going to be able to figure this out. First of all, I don't have the time to figure it out because it always takes. If you figure it's going to take 6 hours, it takes 60 hours.
Right.
And I can never find the extra 60 hours to actually do it. And then my thing is always like, you get into something, and it's like going down a rabbit hole. One little problem leads to the next, and before you know it, you're 2 hours have gone by. You've gone maybe 2 or 3 steps ahead, and now you're in a whole different area that you need to try to figure out. And by that time, I run out of time, and I got to get back to my paying work, or I got to get back to something else. And by the time I get back to it, a week has gone by, and I don't remember where the hell I left off or what the hell I did. So I'm almost starting all over again.
Right.
So I feel your pain, sir, because it's something that I have to resist constantly.
Yeah, and I think you summed it up really well, which is that whole rabbit hole scenario is unbelievably fantastic because what ends up happening is you go down this one rabbit hole, you get sidetracked. The next thing you know, an hour's gone by, 2 hours go by, you haven't fixed your problem, and then you got to step away, and then you come back, and instead of going to that same rabbit hole, you dig another rabbit hole.
Right. Yeah.
And so you've got all these little holes, and none of them are connecting. And so when you're able to get into a class or under the supervision of somebody who is an expert in this area, they're able to connect all those little points that you've kind of gone off in these different directions. And so once you start to connect them, and I'll tell you a little story. Last time I was in class, I started to connect some of those dots, and I'm doing all I can to stay in my seat because I wanted to just jump up and go, I finally got it,
Finally saw a light.
I know, but and what's so foolish about it is that I've spent, I started on the WordPress platform, I think 3 years ago, and I've been kind of, muddling my way through it, and I thought, a lot of the things that I thought I was doing right ended up that I could have been doing them much more efficiently. So it's really paid off to get in there and to learn this stuff, and I'd recommend that for anybody, learning a new program or learning something that you're feeling like you need to know, is to try to learn it quickly and find somebody to teach it to you if you can. Find an expert to teach it to you because. Right. It makes such a difference, being able to ask targeted questions about what you're having trouble with just saves you hours and hours of time, even if you're going through
your specific scenario.
Yeah, and that's for me that's a really important thing because when I go to learn a program, I can do it on my own if I really, really need to, but it takes a lot of time to do it that way. So if you can find somebody who will answer those questions for you as they arise, rather than having to muddle through, 60 hours of a book, kind of training kind of thing, and hoping that you're going to find the answer to that question. You get it right there, and then it's answered for you, and you can move on. So, yeah, it's been a really great experience, and not to mention that we have a good teacher in there, so who really seems to know her stuff.
You want to give her a plug?
Yeah, sure. Her name is Kelly Phillips, and what we can do is I'll put a link to her website in the show notes because she also teaches online and she does seminars and that kind of stuff. So if you guys want to check her out, you can't go wrong. She's a great teacher.
We were talking about possibly inviting her on and see if she'd be interested in coming on and chatting with us.
Yeah, we'll see if we can do that. We'll see if we can do that. So,
now, it's just one of those things where you think you're saving money by not going to someone and getting that help, and you're really not. I mean,
exactly.
On the surface, I don't know what our courses cost, but whatever it is. I mean, $56, $100, $200, whatever the hell it is. I guarantee you're spending. If you calculate your time, the value of your time, and what you could be doing productively, and the amount of time that you're spending on something like that you're trying to learn and struggling with. If you've been struggling with something for a month or 2 or 3 months and you still don't have a handle on it, do yourself a favor and just hire somebody.
Yeah. Well,
at that point you're losing money. You don't see it because it's not coming. You're not taking money out of your pocket and giving it to somebody. You're losing money. Trust me.
Right. And in this case, the college course that they're offering, I think it's under $200, so it's really reasonable.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's one of those kind of things where, when you start to add up the amount of wasted time going down those little rabbit holes, probably would have paid for it.
There's the opportunity cost too. I mean, like yourself, if you're trying to get a new site up and running for your stock art or lessons that you want to create or whatever it is, if you're stuck in the mud and trying to get this thing out, it's not only the time that it's costing you to build the site, to learn how to build it, but also the opportunity cost of actually getting it out there and start promoting it and start, have a product out there for people to buy, So you're keeping that product and that idea on the shelf, and the longer it stays on the shelf, the more value it loses.
Right, and and the other thing is there's a lot of hidden things that you don't really realize. There's things like that I could have been doing better with my SEO that kept my rankings down, which who knows how much that might have cost. So all these little things add up, and so and I tell my students this all the time, and so I'm glad I finally took my own advice. Good job, Bob. Thanks, Bob.
Good job, Bob. Got an A for that.
Thanks, Bob. Thanks for the good advice. glad I took your advice.
Cut yourself a check.
Yeah. Well, that's it. So when I see people who are struggling with with Photoshop or Illustrator or whatever, I always tell them the same thing. Get in there, learn it from somebody who knows it. If you can't afford to do that, then at least try to take a course online. And I have I'm not I'm not bashing the online courses because they do pretty well, but if you can, I think the live courses are best. If you can get an instructor there who will answer your questions.
Well, anytime you can get in a situation where you're getting one-on-one information, it's the access that you're paying for. So you have that one-on-one. You're able to get the answers catered to your specific needs and problem solving that you require. But even if it's something online, if that's what you can afford, it'll probably take a little longer. I mean, you got step-by-step instruction. At least they're guiding you through it in a way that's you're probably more likely to follow through on,
right.
Versus a book or something like that if you've got video or whatever it is. But yeah, I mean, and then you can always hit up the author or something, trying to email them and ask for a specific answer to a question or something.
Right. Yeah. So I think that's probably the best lesson I've learned in a little while, or relearned, I should say. But in the meantime, so I've got this gig coming up. Did I tell you about the gig I got coming up?
The speaker gig, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to be at the Society of Children's Book Illustrators in Charlotte in September. I'm going to be doing a talk about the business side of art, kind of very similar to what we do here. And then I'm also going to be reviewing portfolios. So.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah, I got a busy time coming up here, and I think
we're also working on you doing like a little remote interview thing.
Yeah. We'll see if we can do like a little live thing.
We can barely, so we'll see.
We'll have to do it.
Technically, it might be a little challenging for us.
Yeah. So we'll do that by phone, or I'll get my little iPhone there, and we'll do some filming down there. So
right.
Yeah, see if we can get some interviews lined up or something like that. Should be fun.
That'll be cool. We can talk about some of the things that you encountered up there and some of the people you met, and that'll be interesting. Now, what are some? You want to talk about some of the things that you're looking at doing while you're out there? I mean,
well, this is a first for me. I haven't been to one of these events before, so the whole thing is going to be brand new. And I'm thinking about. This is one of the things that I think we talk about a lot is actually getting out and meeting people and creating opportunities and things like that. And so I thought this would be a great chance to do something like that. So when the offer came in, typically what I would do is run crying and hide under my desk. But this time I said yes. So Yeah, no, I just kid. I kid about that, but it's a great opportunity to get out there and to start to make some new connections.
We just got an email from someone, a new subscriber to Draw My Success,
Mhm.
that can't remember which email it was, what they listened to last, but they were talking about that they took some like 4 steps based on some of the emails that went out and some of the information we gave them
Right.
and the videos and stuff, and that he realized the one thing that he was doing is that most, like 95% of the people that he was following and that were following him were other illustrators.
Right.
And he talked about, how that was like a crucial change that he needed to make, and that he needed to get out and meet more people. I think it was like, the Mark Simon interview where we were talking about how, most of the jobs that are out there are never posted.
That's right.
People who are looking to employ, looking to get something done, a service done, are generally asking other people that they know. So if it's an in-house, an art director or somebody, they're going to ask other art directors, who they've used before, who's dependable, and they're going to ask people that they know, like, and trust. I mean, that kind of thing. So, consequently, a lot of those jobs are never posted anywhere. The shittiest jobs are probably posted on Guru.com and those other outsourcing sites. So it was just a revelation for him, and he just started going out and started meeting a bunch of people, started calling people to make personal contacts on LinkedIn and so forth. So he got a lot out of that. So yeah, I mean, just going back to what you were saying, that you really need to get out. It's where you make the contacts. It's how business is done. I mean, if you're just sitting home waiting for the phone to ring, you're going to have a really slow career.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, one of the things that I've been a little reluctant to do is to get out and start speaking, and so when I started teaching a while back, that started to kind of ease me into the idea that, hey, this isn't so bad. My first couple of classes were were a little we're not quite as good as the ones that I teach now, and I'll admit that freely, but getting over the nervousness of talking in front of a group of people and making these new connections goes a long way. And so the next logical conclusion to that is to step up and do some actual speaking at gigs like this. So this is going to be the first time I'm doing that. So yeah, it should be fun.
Well, good on you for taking the leap.
Yeah, I think I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be fun. So
I know a lot of people find that uncomfortable to do, is get out and put themselves out there.
Yeah, well, that's just it. Sometimes you have to kind of push yourself into situations that are not that comfortable. Just like you do when you take on a project. If sometimes you'll look at this project and you'll be like, oh my gosh, I could never handle that. But you take it on and then you do, and you grow, and next thing you know, that this has become part of your business. And
that's the thing. It's a growth. It's all about growth. It's all about pushing yourself to do. You're talking about how the videos you did maybe last year or whatever aren't as good as what you're making now. Well, what you're making now isn't going to be as good as what you're making, 12 months from now. So it's an evolution, and you can't be expected to start out being perfect with anything, but you take baby steps and you grow, and as long as you have that forward motion, you're going to get to where you need to go, and that's a big step for you. I commend you on that.
Thank you. Yeah, well, I was inspired by your talk about the Toastmasters, and I saw you out there doing that stuff, and I was like, yeah, can't let Carlos be the only guy out there doing it.
Well, I'm going to be doing a presentation in October as well, the MIA animation, which now they just sent me an email yesterday that it was now MIA animation, that conference in Miami in October, is I think what they said, one of the top 5 animation conferences now in the world.
Wow, that's huge. So there you go, man. Look at you.
Really big. So you've got a lot of people from Sony and big gaming companies out there talking. So it's an opportunity to meet a lot of power players. People that are movers and shakers in different industries, not just illustration, but just gaming and animation and all sorts of other industries that kind of branch out from there. So I'm kind of really looking forward to that. And then I just got re-invited back to the PalmCon for September. So it's going to be a Saturday and Sunday this time around as a special guest. So they're supplying me with a table, and that's exciting too. I always like doing those. So
that's great, and
get yourself out there, man.
Yeah, well, something that you just mentioned, where you're talking about all the people that are going to be there, it being in a position that you're in where you're speaking, I think gives you an excellent opportunity to meet some of those people that maybe you normally wouldn't meet if you just kind of went as an attendee, So
right. Yeah, absolutely.
That's pretty cool. That's good, man. Maybe I'll try to see if I can get down there and see you.
Well, and it gives you, I'm not a better artist or anything else, or more brilliant creative by being a speaker at this event, but it gives you a certain perceived expertise. You know what I mean?
I wouldn't sell yourself short, Carlos. Look at you, man.
Well, I mean, it's
you are a rock star.
But I mean, it doesn't. What I'm saying is that it's all about putting yourself in a position of upping your game a little bit. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
So I'm not necessarily better because I'm going on there, but the perception is that I must be some kind of an industry leader to be up there to begin with. So that alone does a lot for the fees that you can ask for, and the way people approach you, and the kind of jobs they approach you with,
sure.
And then the kind of people that are willing to listen to you and eager to work with you when you're in that position. So right. I tell a lot of people, always strive through speaking, even if it's just if you're an illustrator, start speaking locally to local businesses if that's who you market to. For example, you do logos and stuff. Do workshops locally to better business, small business, the chambers of commerce and stuff like that.
Sure.
Yeah. These are all people that need your service. They want to be educated on it. If you start speaking to these small groups, it could be 15, 20, 25 people. All of a sudden in your local area, you start to be perceived as the go-to guy for this, someone who's the expert in this area. And then from there, you never know, you meet different people, and you never know. Before you know it, you'll be speaking at some kind of, local state conference or something. You just never. That's not what happened to me. I mean, it's just one small step led to another, and here I am. So.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. That's really, it's one of those things that we often overlook too, because so many people are just terrified of having to stand up in front and speak. So it
just opens up opportunities that you never really think you're not really thinking about currently. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
As you go down these little, as you take advantage of some of these little opportunities, sometimes they take you down in roads and kind of shine on bigger opportunities that you're kind of that really spark a fire under you and really kind of inspire you to kind of pursue it, and something that you maybe never even considered.
Well, that's right. Yeah, and this is something that I hadn't considered for a long time until until I started doing the classes. Where I was teaching the classes at the university, and then I realized this isn't so different from actually getting out and speaking with people.
Right.
So. Let's take that next step. So instead of teaching a classroom full of 20 people, now you're standing in front of 30 people. It's only 5 more people. What's the big deal? So, and eventually 30 people becomes 100, and like you said, now you are going to stand in front of about 1,000 people, weren't you?
Yeah, I don't know how many people this event's going to have. It's probably going to have close to that, I would imagine, if not more.
That's going to be exciting.
But I jumped from like doing workshops where I was doing like 35, 40, 45 people,
right,
to a room of like 600 people. So
that's a pretty big leap. Yeah.
That's called not thinking before you speak. Just kind of saying yes to anything and then just doing it. But yeah, I mean if I had thought about that too much, I wouldn't have done it.
Yeah. So what was your reaction when you went there? Were you nervous?
No, not really. I mean, what I did was I got there a day early, because most of the speakers, that was a keynote speech. So you're the main speaker for the general meeting. So what happened was I got there. Most speakers get there like maybe an hour or two before, and then they leave or something like that. I was there for the whole weekend, so I got there early. I just decided to make a small vacation out of it with my wife. So we got there early, and what I did was I had a chance to meet a lot of people before I ended up speaking, the day before and the day of, leading to the keynote. So I felt like I knew, a lot of people in the room. I was just, and everybody who knew who I was, because they know I was this keynote speaker, and I went there to kind of make myself really comfortable and kind of feel comfortable in the environment and with the people. So by the time the keynote came around, I felt like I was just talking to a room full of friends and just, keeping it light. And it was really, fun.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I like that. I think that's a great way to do it. If you can afford to take the time to do that.
Yeah.
It's always difficult when you're traveling the same day that you're speaking, and you got to set yourself up, and inevitably you're going to be stressed on those kind of days. So doing what you did, I think, is a great move.
Yeah, I was able to do it, so that worked out really well.
Yeah, maybe I'll try to do that.
So what else has been going on, buddy?
Well, just the same old, same old. I'm really I'm separating the logo stuff from the illustration stuff. I'm gonna put up a new site. I'm getting ready to do a new build on that. So I'm really excited about the information that I've been collecting in this course. Getting ready to apply it. So how that is when you get you just got like a fistful of stuff and you're ready to just go. Yeah. So that's where I'm at right now. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm ready to roll with that.
So why have we been away so long?
Well, things happen. We get busy, and sometimes you got to put stuff aside, and you favor the stuff that pays, and you put the non-paying stuff aside for a minute, and you come back to it when you can. I think that's kind of where we're at. So we ran into a string of things where we were busy working, and then you took a little vacation. So I figured, well, Carlos is away. I'll take a little time off too. So we're back again, but we'll get some shows back up here, and we'll get into doing a few more interviews and that kind of stuff. So I'm looking forward to getting going again. My kids will be back in school, so make things a little bit easier to get together on Fridays again. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. I can't wait for school to start up again, so I can get. I don't think I ever got used to the summer schedule. Usually, it takes me a while to get into the summer schedule, and then by the time I get a handle on it, then school starts, and I got to change my whole schedule. I don't think I ever got into the groove this year with the whole summer schedule thing. Yeah. I almost feel like summer didn't happen. It was crazy.
Well, the days start to quiet down a little bit when school comes back around, So you get your mornings back, and that's I'll capitalize on that. Do a lot of work in the morning again, so it'll be good. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, for sure. One of the last things that we spoke about before I went on vacation was a project that came in. I don't know if we want to just kind of lightly talk on this a little bit. I know we're going to save it for. Because it has to do with pricing and stuff like that, but it was just one of those scenarios where I had an old client call me. This is a client that I had is a publishing client. I had him about 10 years
I love
ago.
this one. I've been telling this story a lot lately.
And and the reason why I want to tell it is because I've been getting some email from people regarding, first of all, asking, where the hell we've been.
Well, we addressed that already, so let's move on.
And asking questions, about different things that have been coming up for them, and one of them was pricing and that kind of thing. So, anyway, I get this job. What was it, like 2.5 weeks ago? 2.5 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago.
We were talking about it just before you went on vacation.
Right before I left, because I had to wrap up the job. So what happened was this old client of mine called me. It was a publishing client, and I had been working with them for maybe 10 years or so. Back in the day when I was doing a lot of publishing stuff. And they wanted 2 illustrations redone. This was like a series of about, I think it was like maybe 30 illustrations or 28 illustrations. I think the project was like $16,000 at the time. It was like, you're talking about 2004, 2003, something like that.
Right.
So anyway, there was a bunch of illustrations. They needed 2 of them to be redone in the same style that I had done the first one. So the design companies, usually they farm the stuff out and they hire an outside designer to organize everything and do all this stuff. So they called me and said, hey, so-and-so client wants to rehire you to redo these illustrations. So I said, sure, and send me the specs and take a look at it. So they sent it back. They sent me the specs and they said they're willing to pay $50 each for them.
$50.
And this is just like black and white illustrations.
You could go to
judging by
you could go to Five Guys twice on $50.
with $50, you can hire 10 illustrations over at Fiverr, where people will charge you like $5 to do it.
You could almost put a half a tank of gas in your car.
But anyway, $50. I'm like, what? That's like, my gosh, it's almost insulting. So I dug up the file to see what project it was, and they later sent me the PDF of the older illustrations I had done. And I was looking at it, I'm like, this ain't no $50 job. I mean, even back 10 years ago, I was charging like $400 or something for that. So anyway, I looked up the old file, and I had charged $400 for those pieces, and it was average. All of them were average about $400, $450 each. Mm-hmm. So I emailed her back and I said, well, the price is unacceptable. I mean, in 2004 when I initially did those, I charged $400, and we were doing like 28 of them. You know what I mean? So I even got like a break on the price because of the number of illustrations and stuff. So I said, $550 is like, $550 is the lowest I can do on this. So she comes back and she says, I was telling the client that $50 is low, and but I'll get back to them and see what they say. I said, fine, just let me know what happens. So like a day later, she gets back to me and she says, okay, they said that they'll do it for $500. They really want to use you. They really feel that you have a keen understanding of what needs to happen and what needs to be illustrated from your experience on the project and this and that. So they're willing to increase their budget to $500 a piece. So I said fine. So she sent me the contract. So that's lesson number one right there, just in case you missed it. Ask for what you want. So she sends me the contract, and I'm reading through the contract later on that afternoon, and it's your typical, publishing contract, work for hire, blah blah blah. Now, when I worked for these companies back in the day, I didn't mind the work for hire thing. A lot of these illustrations aren't the kind of illustrations I should normally show in my portfolio. They're just rind out kind of stuff that I just kind of do, and get paid, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that really doesn't bother me. But anyway, reading through the contract, they had on the payment terms, they said they'll pay me within 75 days. So I'm like, please.
Doesn't sound like a good deal, man.
No. So
what's going on with these guys?
And here's the thing: I know a lot of illustrators out there. When they work with a lot of publishers and stuff, they have these long terms, usually 60 to 90 days or something ridiculous like that. Listen, in today's day and age, there's no reason why you should be waiting that long for your money, honestly. Not even like 10 years ago. What I mean?
Yeah.
So I told her, I said,
everything's online these days.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. So I just told, so it's $1,000 project, so it's 2 illustrations for $1,000. And they're just black and white with one spot color. It's not anything major. So anyway, I emailed her and I said, this price, the terms and everything are fine except for the payment terms. The 75 days on delivery for payment are completely unacceptable. I told her, I said, I get 50% up front to start a project, and then the remaining 50% on approval of a low-res illustration that I send to you prior to you getting the final artwork. So I need to get paid that final 50% payment before I give you the final files.
Right.
So I figured, because this is like a week away from my vacation, and I figured, okay, this is not something that I really want to deal with that much. It's not the kind of work that really I wake up in the morning and I'm like eager to do. And I figured, okay, well, that one will just kill it, and I won't have to worry about it. And then next week I just go on my vacation, whatever. And because I really didn't think they were gonna come down on those terms, the payment terms. So anyway, she says, okay, well, let me get back to them. Let me get back to you and talk to them and see. So she gets back to me that later on that afternoon, and she says, okay, well, what's your bank account routing number so we can wire you the 50%?
So you got what you needed. That's great.
I got what
That's
I needed. They just wired it to me, and then I went ahead and started on the sketches. I did the sketches, turned them around in a few days. They approved the first round of sketches. I didn't have to do a thing to them. They said, okay, everything's perfect. Go to finals. And actually, prior to that, I told them, that I was going to be going on vacation, so if they can get back to me quickly enough, I could, finish them before I leave. And they did. They got back to me right away. They said everything's perfect, no changes. And I did the finals, sent them in, showed the final low res. They saw it. They said it was great. And at that point, I had already left on vacation, and it was like I was on my first day of vacation, and she sent me an email that everything looked great, and to send me the final invoice, to send her the final invoice. I did that, and from vacation, they went ahead and wired the 50% balance.
Nice.
So once they released that, it was in my bank account, and I sent her the final files, and that, easy peasy lemon squeezy, as I say.
That's nice. But that worked out all right, man. Well, that's a good story.
It's not. I don't tell a story to brag or anything, but it's not, because it's not about that. It's about, I hear a lot of people, and I had the same mindset back then as well. Like maybe 14 years ago, that a lot of these companies don't work that way. I hear a lot of illustrators say, well, they just don't, they don't pay enough, or this is their payment terms, or they take 60 to 90 days. They're like it's etched in stone. None of this is etched in stone, okay? You need to learn to ask for what you need. If I had to run a business where I had to wait 60 to 90 days for payment on everything, I'd prefer not to run this business. I'd find something else to do, because really you can't survive that way.
Right.
So you really need to take a look at what you need to survive as a business owner and what makes you feel comfortable. And something that's reasonable. Nothing that I asked for was unreasonable. Waiting 75 days, 90 days for payment, I see as unreasonable. So, take a really hard look at how you need your business to be able to run, and ask for what you need. Don't be afraid to ask for what you need. If people want to hire you and they respect you, they'll be reasonable with you. Nothing that I asked for was unreasonable, so therefore they paid me what I needed when I needed it. So that's the bottom line. I mean, it's not that anything that comes from a publisher, contracts or whatever, are etched in stone. You can cross things out on a contract and say, I'm not happy with this. I'm happy with this, but I'm not happy with that, and change it to the terms that you want and see what happens.
Right. And then when you look at the trade-off here, you're only gambling with $100 anyways. So it's not like you're going to lose your shirt if you lose this job.
With the $1,000.
No, you were gambling with $100 and you made $1,000. So if, let's say that you said, I need $500 for these, and they said no, you're just, well, who cares? It's, you're only talking about $100 that you have.
Right, exactly. Yeah, the initial job, what it would have been was $100. Right. Yeah, exactly. I mean, if it's the kind of situation where you're going to be, if you're hard up for money, I mean, let's face it, if you're hard up for money and you don't have the cash and you need the job desperately, doing a job that's going to pay you in 90 days isn't going to help you. You need help now. You don't need help in 90 days. So your time would be better spent doing something else. Making a couple of phone calls, doing something to generate some extra cash. Even mowing some lawns or something would probably be a better use of your time.
Right.
Than something like that. So I mean, you really have to take a close look at that kind of stuff. Don't be so desperate that you end up putting yourself in a losing situation.
Yeah, and I think you made an excellent point.
I guess, in my situation, it helps that you're willing to walk away from a project, because I really didn't really care about the project one way or the other.
Right.
But once I accept it, obviously I'm going to do the best job I can. But I mean, it wasn't like, like I had to have this job, or that I really wanted this job. And I was willing to walk away from it, and I would be totally, completely fine. I know that a lot of people are in that situation many times. Sometimes we have slow months and months that we do well. But in those slow months, I know that sometimes we get, we want that extra. We want those extra jobs, and we don't want to give up on them. But you need to kind of set the the emotion aside, and really tackle it from a very logical point of view when you're doing this, and not let your emotions and your fear get a hold of you and start making you do things that aren't going to ultimately get you where you need to be. And not to sell yourself short or sell yourself on stories that, oh, well, maybe they'll, if I do this for a low price, maybe they'll come back and they'll pay me the normal rate next time. It never happens. Never happens. Never happens. It never.
No, you become the $50 artist.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So it just never happens. So don't even try to sell yourself on that.
Yeah.
Well, you have to be willing to walk away from stuff and stick to your guns.
Right, and this brings me back to one of those other things that we talked about once before is, the whole idea of being your own worst enemy, where the longer you wait on hold, the lower your price goes. So I don't. What was it? We talked about that a couple of weeks ago, I think, where we were talking about how if there's just a dramatic pause, your price starts to dip. You don't even say anything. So this is another one of those situations where you have to sort of advocate for yourself and put out your terms. I mean, the worst that could have happened would have been they just said no.
Right.
And then at that point, you still get the decision. Okay, well, do I want to do it for $50?
Right.
And then at least you gave it a shot and tried to do something a little bit better for yourself. And then you can decide, well, $50 isn't enough, so you'll have to find somebody else to do that for you at that price.
Yeah, and I think too, when now that you mentioned that, I mean, because I've encountered this with helping coaching clients with writing email and proposals and stuff like that, that you don't be wishy-washy about what you're asking for.
Yeah, never apologize for what you've...
Yeah, never. And never leave the door open either for, from my perspective. I mean, you may hear people, give different advice. From my perspective and my experience, I don't like leaving the door open. When I say my fee is going to be this, like with this one, it was $550 minimum.
Yeah.
They came back with 500. I said, okay. But I never leave the door open to go back to something that I really don't want, like to the 50 or something like that. You know what I mean? Or 100 or 200 or 300. Because you're just setting yourself up to be, bargained down. The impression that I left in the email and my communication is, this is what I charge.
Yeah.
Simple. That's it. Not this is what I charge, but if you don't have the money, blah blah blah. Because then immediately they go in for the kill.
Right.
This is what I charge. Period.
Right.
That's it.
Well, what I'd like to do is we talked about putting together this pricing thing. So I don't want to try to open up the whole scenario today because we're running a little short on time here. Let's come back to this and we'll see if we can set up that the class like you had mentioned and really get into this thing deep and start from the beginning and work our way through to the end because I feel like if we just if we're just tossing out little tidbits here and there, we're not going to be able to get to the full story. So
what I really wanted to get across with that story is that, first of all, because the publishing industry is notorious, especially the educational publishing industry is notorious for paying low rates, and taking a long time to pay. So with that story, for people who work in that industry or similar industries that typically take a long time to pay, is I say there's no reason for it, and if you don't choose to work that way, you don't have to. And that if prices are set, because certain industries, there are certain industries where prices are set. They have a set price for stuff.
Sure.
They may have their set prices, but that doesn't mean that you have to abide by them. And that doesn't mean that you can get what you want, or at least very close to what you want. That'll make you happy working on that project.
Right.
The reason I work for myself is because I want to enjoy what I do. If I have to be, working crazy hours and delivering stuff and I'm not getting, compensated for it, and I don't see my life and my future and my career moving forward, then there's no point for me to do it. So this whole story is to say that, whatever you think the restrictions are in terms of prices or terms or whatever, it's all bullshit. You know, it is what you make it. It is what you ask for.
Sure.
Will everybody do it? No. But you need to be able to, you know, address and outline your own standards for how you want to work, and carry yourself, you know, appropriately. I mean, that's basically it. But there are situations, if people want to work with you, they're able to pay you faster. They're able to pay you more. Okay, let's not get crazy and think people don't have money and all that kind of crap. It's bullshit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, and I think part of what's happening is that there is a trend where people are willing to accept less or work for less or whatever, you know. So, you know, let's step above that and not be part of that whole thing, you know. Your work is worth something, and so don't give it away.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you know, there are people that are looking, and I don't want to like keep hammering on this, but you know, we've talked about this a lot in the past, and even with people that we've had on the show, George Coghill being one of them. There are people who will not work with you because your prices are too low. A lot of us tend to think that. A lot of us tend to think that if our prices are low enough, we can work with anybody, and we won't, you know, we won't lose jobs. I'm here to tell you that you will lose jobs if your prices are too low. There are people out there, when they see your price is too low and they have a higher standard for the kind of work that they accept and what they pay for, when they see your really low rate, they see you as a startup or someone who's not successful and someone they don't want to work with. They'll go with the higher paying guy. And I see this all of the time. It happens with me. I charge more than what most people charge for stuff, and people use me and they don't use other people because I charge more, oddly enough. I know it sounds weird.
I think, I think Mark Simon talked a little bit about that in his interview.
Yeah, he had an experience where I can't remember exactly, but there was an art director that was going to hire him to do storyboards or something, and he wanted to, like, you know, he wanted the opportunity to work with the guy or something, and so he came in, you know, not low ball, but you know, he came in kind of on the low end because he wanted to be able to get in there and do the job, and the guy, you know, straight up looked at him and said, "Oh, that's unfortunate. You know, I thought you were more experienced than that," and he didn't get the job.
Yeah. That's a tough lesson to learn, man.
You look at buying cars, buying clothes, buying houses, you name it, any kind of product or service that's out there, there are people who pay more for the same thing because they're getting their perceptions that they're getting something more value, or they're getting someone who's more valuable, someone who adds more value to whatever it is they're doing, and they're willing to pay more. And if you're not charging enough, they will not work with you. So if you're lowballing your prices all the time, what you're attracting are the people that lowball and want to pay crap for fees. If you want to start working with people who pay more, you need to be able to charge more. That's the secret. But most people don't do it because they're afraid to charge.
Yeah, well, I mean, you think about it like this, you know, if you're going shopping for a car, if you are buying some, let's say you're going to buy a Mercedes or something like that, your expectation is to pay more money. You're going to get a better product because you're paying that money for it. Same thing with an artist. So if somebody is charging you the price of a Yugo, then you're expecting to get a Yugo. You know, do they still make those?
They shouldn't.
Yeah. So no, that's a great point, Carlos, and I think perceived value has a lot to do with it, and that doesn't mean that you get to slough off. I mean, you gotta step up to the plate when you get those jobs. But again, you know, if you're going to charge those kind of prices, I think it's important that you give people that perceived value. And we're talking about this was part of the pricing thing too, you know. So we can get into that.
Even on the project that you and I had worked together, that mascot job that I brought you in on. You know, all through that project, I remember telling you, you know, I want to be able to give this guy the best service. I want to be able to give this guy options. I want to be able to. You can only do that when you're charging enough. When you're not charging enough, you just want to get the damn thing off your table.
Right.
You know? And what kind of experience does it leave with the other person? I mean, yeah, maybe they got what they wanted, but did you give them more? You know, when I work with someone, I want to give them what they want and more. I want them to walk away
Right.
like they paid me more than what they'd pay maybe most people, but when they walk away from the project, they feel like they got a whole lot more value for what they paid.
Well, and they did. They did get an excellent value because we gave
Yeah.
them, much more than they had probably anticipated, and
Right.
we worked hard on that job to make sure that it looked good. So
Right.
we wouldn't, had we charged a lower price, we wouldn't have had the time to do that.
You don't do that exactly.
Right.
It's
Right.
the difference between, I can't remember one of the mentors I follow, one of the many mentors I follow online. We're talking about Walmart and maybe like an upscale
Nordstrom's or something like
or
that.
something like that. You go to Walmart, yeah, you're going to pay the cheaper prices, but you know what? The service sucks. People don't say hi to you. The carpet looks like shit when you walk in there. It's all dirty. Stuff that you're looking for, it's going to be, you're going to be looking for stuff for a while because it's in the wrong aisles. People just pick stuff up, put it down wherever. The place is messy, dirty. Okay, well, you're getting the low price. That's what you get. When you go to Nordstrom or something like that, you're paying more, but you're paying for an experience as well. You're paying for a better product. They can afford to keep their carpets clean. They can afford to pay better, pay people better, and have better salespeople that will give you a pleasant experience. So if you charge cheap, the amount of services and the quality of your service is going to be reflective of that. If you charge more, you're going to be able to go the extra mile and give people what they want, and you're not going to feel bad about it because you're being compensated.
Well, yeah, and the other thing is
where I feel good about what I'm doing, and they feel good about what they're getting.
Yeah, and they love you for it, and they're going to come back for more.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. That's an important lesson. I think this is a
little story.
This is something that I do want to get into a lot more and get into a lot deeper. I think there's some very good lessons to learn here, and there are things that we need to remind ourselves of constantly. When you go in for negotiating. Yeah. So we need to wrap up for today. But Carlos, it's great to be back with you on the show again, and I'm happy that you guys had a good vacation, and we'll get together next week, and
excellent.
Hopefully we can get some interviews lined up. So
yeah, that's one thing that we've got to work on is getting the interviews lined up ahead of time. I know that a lot of our readers and stuff enjoy listening to them, so we need to get some of those lined up. We need to get that pricing information up and running so we can get people on. I've gotten a lot of emails about that as well, and the coaching program. God, I really kind of feel bad for for some of these people. Some of these people I've been getting. I just got an email this morning. Someone that I spoke to like a month and a half ago who's dying to get into a coaching program with me, and I can't do it. I just haven't had the chance to do it. It's just been summer and it's been crazy, and I've got these 2 events coming up around the corner. So I apologize for everybody who's interested in doing it. We'll get it up and running. I know that it's of no help to you if the program isn't available and we're not able to get what you need. But we're aware of that, and we want to try to get it up and running as soon as possible. But at the same time, I want to be able to be sure that I have the time to dedicate. That you and I have the time to dedicate to whatever it is that we start, so that we're able to see it through and
just like we were talking about, we want to give people a good experience.
Exactly, yeah. So it's on the back burner. We're working on it. It's just that there's a lot of other crazy things going on right now. But that's going to be one of the priority things is get the group coaching started and the that power pricing for artists up and running. So hopefully that'll, I'm not even going to give you a date. Maybe I should.
No, don't do it. Don't do it, Carlos.
It'll be done next week. It'll be available.
Oh no. Yeah,
eventually, probably by next week, we should probably have a date to give so that at least we have a deadline to work towards. Because otherwise, it's one of those things where you kind of you force yourself to do it and you don't allow other things to get in the way. So. Well, now I'm taking my own advice.
Well, with my new mad WordPress skills, I think we could build an excellent site so that
there you go.
Excellent experience. Yeah. So see how
let's see what you've learned, Bob.
See how I brought that all the way around?
Yeah, I like that. Bob is going to revamp the Drawn by Success site.
Whoa, what? Wait a minute. I'm not charging $50 for it. All right, yeah, let's wrap up for today. I got to go.
All right, cool. So where can people find you, Bob, if they want more information on just getting in touch with you or just getting more information on the Photoshop and Illustrator courses that you're working on?
Yeah. So you can find me at Bob Teaches Art. I've got a couple of things that are coming up. I've got a discount rate tutorial thing coming up next week where I'm going to do the buddy system. I wanted to get into that today, but since we got to wrap up, I don't think I'm going to have enough time. So we can talk about that next week. We're going to do a special 2-for-1 deal on the tutoring for people to come in and learn with a buddy. I'll talk a little bit more about the buddy system. I think we might have touched on that earlier in one of our earlier shows, but I'll get into that a little bit more next time we get together and talk about that. So you can find me at bobteachesart.com. My new site is going to be called bobmakeslogos.com, and you can also find me at bobostrom.com. Notice how I'm doing the whole Bob thing there? I'm thinking I'm going to get a big shirt that just says Bob on it.
You have everything tied together with Bob Ostrom. That's good.
Yeah, man. That's what. So yeah, but those are some of the things that I'm working on right now. I will talk a little bit more about the teaching site next week. With the WordPress class, I've learned some things that I want to bring to the site before I go for the official launch. So yeah, I'm excited about some of the stuff I got coming up there.
And also, if you're interested in acquiring property, Bob has a BobOstromRealEstate.com. And
I don't actually have that.
And rehabbing houses is Bob Ostrom Rehabhouses.com.
I know you think that's hilarious, but there is a Bob Ostrom realtor out there. People are going to go look at the guy.
Well, we got to get money. We got to get a finder's fee.
Get an affiliate link for that guy. All right, I got to wrap up, Carlos. Let's call it a day. Where can people find you?
All right, so if you guys have any questions regarding the coaching or the pricing program, you can leave a comment underneath the video, or you can email me at carlos@drawnbysuccess.com and just let me know that you're interested in that. Or even if you just have questions about pricing or coaching or whatever it is. I mean, whatever you have questions on. I mean, I get questions all the time about all sorts of stuff. So just email me, and we'll keep you in the loop on what we're doing. Hopefully, we'll get together again next Friday. We'll see you guys next Friday again.
Look forward to it.
We'll have a topic of interest for you guys. That'll give you some tidbits and improve your business and make you earn more money and work better and find better clients and all that kind of good stuff. All right. So that's a wrap, Bob. Nice seeing you again, pal. I'll see you next Friday, and I'm sure I'll be speaking to you way before then.
Sounds good. Thanks, Carlos. See you next
time. All right,
time.
guys. Thanks. Bye-bye.